All right. Hey, good morning. Welcome to the Rise and Grind morning show. It is the morning after. Yes, that is a little bit of a shout out to Kelly Stafford. A little bit of troll job there. But welcome in. It is Monday morning. It's the day after Sunday Night Football. Your Detroit Lions are victorious. There's a lot to talk about that we'll get into all of it throughout the week. Obviously, you know that we're both on the road. We probably have about 4 hours of sleep. So,
if that,
and still no voice. So we're going to get through today. We're talking about what everyone else has been talking about and kind of give you our insights. No, it won't be a bash session. We'll save that for the video. We'll save that for the tape. But I want to walk right into Dan Campbell this morning. And so I would like to bring him in his press conference in from last night and kind of listen to what he had to say. It's about 2 minutes long. And if you guys have already watched it, that's great. But I want to review it with you guys again and talk about it because he had a lot of good things to say. And, you know, this is week one, so you're going to have a ton of mistakes. And there's a lot that is going to be learned from this game. There's a lot that these guys found out about themselves in this game. And Eric, right away, I mean, you had great seats last night, sitting right on the tunnel. You had a few great plays coming right at you, including, I believe, the Jamo touchdown.
The Jamo touchdown was right in front of me.
So give us a quick idea of how your night went, sitting right there in the seats that you had.
Oh, my God. I kept getting recognized over and over again. People taking pictures of me from the other side of the field and stuff. It was pretty cool. Guess we made it on TV a few times. What a blast. Man, last night was fun. But once again, it was a heart attack game, what I like to call a heart attack game.
The heart attack cats.
I do not like heart attack games. I don't. I hate them with a passion. I like to easily win or feel very comfortable that we're going to win. And I have to admit, in the third and fourth quarter, when we didn't pour it on, now we did score a touchdown in the third quarter, but we didn't pour it on. We could have scored two and we didn't. And that fourth quarter, they got the lead. And I'm just like, oh, no. Even though it was only 3 points.
That was probably the first time I sat down all night.
Exactly. Dude, we stood all night.
When they took the lead, I sat down and I said, that damn number 9, he's going to do it.
But you know what? Gave me hope.
What I was thinking, though, is I started seeing the Karen Rodgers Hail Mary. I started seeing the broken shoulder play. I started seeing the fake spike cowboy game. I started seeing all this stuff rolling through my head.
Yep.
And I'm like, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And then I'm like, okay, we still got time. We got all our timeouts. We got time. We just need to stop, right? And it happened. So
I got to look at something really quick here.
Sure.
So Mr. Tony Bonifero, as soon as we lost the lead, he starts sending me messages because he's sitting just up behind me, right?
Okay.
Off to my left. And damn it, if he isn't the same old Tony as every other year, he does not change, okay? I'm paraphrasing. This is what he wrote to me. Worst coach game ever.
Oh, geez.
Lions lose because of MCDC.
This is after the game or before it ends?
No, this is right after we lost the lead. When the Rams took the lead by 3, this is exactly when at 11:22. This is when he sent me this. Why kick through the end zone? Squib that 30-yard line. 3 timeouts for the Rams. Effing pathetic. Stafford is going to stick it to all the effing idiot Lions fans who boo him without reason. Watch. And I wrote, nope. Come down here and say that to my face. Lions win right now. And then he wrote, I would, but I left. So he left before we came back and won in overtime.
Never leave.
Never, ever, no matter what, leave the game. I'm telling you what, I've been there for too many comebacks. And to see, like, there was one game we were down by like 20-something points, and I watched the Lions come all the way back and win the game before. So I never, ever, ever leave the game. That will never happen. So I just wanted everybody to know that I called it with Tony. He was going to be this way, and I'm still a homer.
And there's nothing wrong with being a homer, man. Lions played fairly well for first game, right? I kept saying it throughout the week that, the first game is tough. You haven't seen these guys. Nobody's played in the preseason, really.
Yeah.
New defensive coordinator. He's going to throw stuff at the Lions that they haven't seen yet. You've got two outstanding rookie defensive ends, bookends for that defense. And so here's what I would say before we get into this video. So everybody that's saying we needed another edge and this was the problem and we didn't get to the quarterback, we didn't get enough sacks, we need another edge. The number one edge was taken by the Rams in this draft. They had a top 10 defensive tackle rookie last season in Kobe Turner. They also added Braden Fisk, who was slated to be the number one edge / defensive tackle in this draft, slid to, I think, the second round. Yep. So they did exactly what you wanted. The Rams did what you wanted. And that defense was solid. But how many sacks did Stafford have? Two.
One by Hutch, one by Davenport and Levi.
And what did those edge players do in the last drive of the game in overtime? Not a damn thing.
Yep.
So, for everyone saying that we needed edges and we needed more, and I'm not picking on anybody. I kept hearing it all last night. I kept seeing it all last night.
Yeah.
All around me, and we needed an edge. I'm like, no, we didn't. We did what we needed to do. We didn't have DJ Reader.
Yeah.
You wait until DJ Reader gets in this game. Marcus Davenport had a hell of a game, and Dan Campbell even said it last night.
Yep.
Alex Anzalone played out of his mind. I mean, he made some mistakes too, but they all did. It's week one. So yeah, am I going to be a little overly critical? Sure. I'll be a little overly critical at times, but that's because it's week one. I'm still a whole believer in where this team is going. Always have been, always will be. And been pounding my chest for Brad and Dan for 4 seasons now, that they're going to get it right. And they are. Last night was a scary game. Should we have been there? Probably not. Yeah. We probably shouldn't have been in that position. But it's week one. I mean, you look at all the games that I picked, and I haven't even gone to look and tally everything up yet. But I had almost every game picked right until the last 4 minutes of the game.
Yep.
And then next thing you know, all the games they flipped. Just a couple of plays here, a couple of plays there. Guys were gassed. I mean, every game we watched this weekend, or that I at least watched this weekend, just about every team was gassed, it seemed like. And the Lions were no different. They were exhausted.
How much do you think, in all these games that flipped or flopped, how much do you think that these teams, including the Lions, not playing their starters in the preseason affected the outcomes of these first games of the season? I think it was huge.
Well, I will say this before I answer that. Michael Lukey says the same old Lions lose that game. You're damn straight they do.
Yes.
It's not the same old Lions. But to answer your question, I do believe that the preseason does have a minor effect on this. And here's why. You're not going to have coaches that are like Matt Patricia building a hill. And I get why Matt Patricia did it. It was all about conditioning. You're not going to have the Bill Belichick's in this league anymore that preyed on conditioning and ran his guys into the ground, was a hard-nosed coach. Dan is a player's coach. He's earned the respect of his players. I'm sure that if he went out there and he said, look, guys, if we want to get a leg up on everybody for the first 3 weeks of the season, this is what we got to do. I'm sorry, but we got to go run gassers. I'm sorry, but we've got to go run suicides on the football field. I'm sorry, but we've just got to do circuit training for 3 weeks. We can't do 2-a-days anymore. So the NFL's taking that away from us. And now we're not putting you in the preseason games. So you're not going to get that full test. You guys all know this. I'm not speaking anything. I'm not speaking gibberish here. When you are in a situation, for all of you that have played sports, when your energy level comes up, right? When that, what's the word I'm looking for? Sorry about that. Brain fart. No sleep here. When your adrenaline gets going, okay, you start to actually lose more energy. your anxiety level comes up. You're running around on the field. I mean, like myself, I used to black out on the field at times. And what I mean by that is, during certain plays, it's like you kind of lost time for a minute. And you hear players talk about it. They'll say that they black out for a minute. It's just natural. It happens. When your energy level is that high and you haven't been put to the test in that situation at all throughout the season, you're just playing against your own guys. You're not going to have that same adrenaline of like being chased by a bear out of the woods. That's almost what you got to go do. You almost got to be chased by, to have that adrenaline. And what happens after that play is you're completely exhausted. So then how do you stay going through the rest of the game? That's what I noticed last night. These guys have not been tested throughout the preseason. They haven't been tested throughout training camp. They're in shape. Demo's probably in the most shape of all of them.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, why the preseason does matter. And I think that the teams that do play their players in the final preseason game or at some point, probably the final one makes the most sense. I think they're going to have a little bit of a leg up on conditioning, personally. But
yeah.
So who do we got in the house today or this morning?
Oh, our good friend Broski Bear.
Broski Bear, I'll get to you in just a minute.
And
We got Michael Garrity in the house. We got Riley O'Brien, Derek Struble, Ryan Van Valkenburg, Mr. Morale Tarantino, Daryl Bell, Roger Chappis, of course, Broski Bear, Fred Peterson, Mike the Marine Gunny, good morning. And Mike, if you are a Marine man, thank you for your service.
Yes.
We got Hostage 4-2 in the house. We got Trace, Peter Van Larhoven, Cake Man, King SJ, all the way from Toronto, and Richard Blakely, Michael Lukes.
Richard's from Newberry. I went to high school with him.
All right. 40 Gumble, El Ferrier, or El Rafier. Who else is in here today? Steve K, Lions Fan 76, Mark Van Koffnet, Chip Bradshaw, Motown Mitch, Philippines. We got a lot of people in the house this morning. Welcome. If I missed your name, you guys know it's not by purpose.
We got 101 in right now, and we only have 20 likes. So let's get those likes up, because if you guys get the likes to at least 50, we don't put the ads on.
Oh, there you go. We'd like to get to 100. But here's the thing, man. We got no sleep. We've been doing this for you guys with no sleep like everybody else. I mean, at least for the people that go to the game, they don't have no sleep. The people that stay home, they probably got some sleep.
It was an hour and a half before we even got back here.
And then, another hour after that before you get into bed, So what do you got? 3-4 hours of sleep tonight. That's about it. So I think exhaustion is a real thing. I saw it last night.
Oh, yeah.
I did.
Feel it today.
Penei, I can't wait to go back and watch some of this tape, because we're going to see just how their mettle was tested and just how much they fought to stay relevant last night.
Yeah, I'll say this about Penei Sewell. That guy is a dog.
Oh, he is.
Listen, he got hurt like our third or fourth play on offense. He went down holding his ankle. He got right back up, hobbled around, made it back to the huddle, and he was just bent over, and you could tell he was hurt. And I'm like, call a timeout. And they didn't. And he got right back in there the very next play, and he didn't miss a play the whole entire game. That guy hurt his ankle in preseason and then hurt it again last night. Didn't skip a beat.
You know who else is a dog, and you guys aren't going to like this? Matthew F. and Stafford.
Yeah.
He got hurt probably 3 or 4 times in that game last night.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how he does it.
He got destroyed.
But I'll tell you what, man. He is going to be a broken mess about 5 years after he retires. He is going to be a broken mess. That guy has been through so much. And I respect the hell out of him for the way that he stood in there and took it and fought all night long. Even though he's not a player, for the Detroit Lions anymore, that is who I remember. A guy that would just put the team on his back, continue to get smacked in the mouth, and man, he just stood in there and delivered. And you cannot deny that arm. Like, I mean, I know he threw some questionable balls last night. We should have had 4 picks in that game probably, and didn't come down with it. But he stood in there and fought, and that's why he is so well respected around this league. So big shout out to Matthew for staying in there last night, man. He fought, but he didn't come away winner. Jared Goff did. Jared Goff did enough to win. It was sloppy as all get out. on both sides, all phases. I did not understand the kickoff thing, why they just decided to kick it through the uprights, on each kickoff. I don't understand
the Rams. The Rams only kicked it to us once where we had a chance at a run back and we got it to the 26 or 27.
Yeah.
And that was it. And if you watch the NFL games this weekend, I'm going to say 95% of the kicks right through the back of the end zone.
Yeah, Rick. So I'm sure that's the reason, right? I waved. I waved goodbye last night to Stafford and everybody. Our whole section was waving. We just said, see ya. Bye, buddy.
I may or may not have given Matt Stafford the bird. And
no, you wouldn't have done that.
I may have.
Two quick things here, and then I want to bring in Dan Campbell. Number one, Khalif Raymond. Man, does he worry me. I know that he's a respected player, but every time he touches the ball on a punt return or kick return, if he gets an opportunity, I am so worried he's going to fumble it. And last night, it might have been the first one he touched. He almost fumbled it.
The end around?
No, the kick returns and punt returns.
Okay.
Every time I am so worried he's going to fumble that ball. And the first one he touched last night, he damn near fumbled it. And
did he?
Yep. So that's going to be some good tape review again. Tuesday night, if you guys have not joined the membership yet, the second tier level will get you into it. I might throw the first tier in for the first one or the second one to kind of give you guys an idea of what we're doing to see if you want to change your mind about which level you're in. No pressure. All the pressure's on me. I'm the one that's got to perform. So, all right, let's get into Dan Campbell this morning, and then we'll talk about Tim Twentyman's four downs. Like I said, this is a very unprepared show because we've had no sleep. I'm working with one screen, one computer, and not 5 screens. So I can't mass produce what I normally do quickly, but there'll be plenty of opportunity to talk about it throughout the week. Usually by Wednesday, we are already on to the next game. So we're going to hit it hard between now and Wednesday, and then we'll be on to the next game. So Dan Campbell, here we go. Let's bring him in. If I can't see. I really can't see. I think this is the screen. There we go. There he is. Dan Campbell. A win is a win. And so that's the other thing that we're not going to have this morning. We're not going to have the gambles of the game because I've got to go through it. So we'll hit that in tomorrow's show. It'll be the Tuesday after this week, but the Monday after we'll have all of our typical segments that we planned on for you guys.
I'm pretty sure that Dan Campbell is 1 for 1.
We'll let me get into it. We'll talk about it tomorrow because there were some things that he didn't do that were expected. But here we go. Dan Campbell's post game press conference and in locker room celebration.
A win is a win. That team gave us everything they had, man. They did. They threw it at us, man, and give them some credit. They did, man. They laid it on the line all the way. But the bottom line is, man, it's hard to break us now. It's hard to break us. As a matter of fact, you ain't going to do it. And we just had to buy our time.
All right, so real quick, let me rewind that. Look at Penei Sewell's face when he walks into the room. Just look at Penei. Look how exhausted he is. Just look at this guy as he walks in.
It's hard to break us now.
Look at that face, man. He just looks completely obliterated. That guy put it all on the line last night. He gave everything he had, and you can see it. He is wearing it big time.
It's hard to break us. As a matter of fact, you ain't going to do it. And we just had to buy our time, find our rhythm. Defense, we held. Fox, what an outstanding freaking punt to help our defense. In offense, we do what we got to do to get in overtime. And then we win the toss. Golf, nice job. We go all the way down. That's a damn good win. That's number one. We're 1-0 right now. I got 2 game balls. First one is this, man. You talk about closing out the game. And I said it the other day, somebody asked me, I said, man, you can start the game with this guy and you can finish it with him. And anything in between on offense, Dave Montgomery.
All right, so David Montgomery, man, last night he kind of got off to a slow start. He kind of, in my opinion, I thought he got it pulled out of the game a little bit when they inserted Jameer. And again, I'll have to confirm all of this through the tape, but he kind of got off to a slow start, and they definitely saved his legs for the end of this game, which is a nice 1-2 punch, right? This is exactly what we need going into a very long season, is having a 1-2 punch. But when the game was on the line and somebody needed to step up, Montgomery took that rock and he just shoved it down the Rams' throat. So definitely deserve the game ball here. And I thought there was more than 2 game balls that went out, but we'll continue to watch.
Nah, look. I'm saying we was in that fighting for a while, man, and it was ugly for a little minute. Before the game, Ben said that it showed enough ain't gonna be our best game, it ain't gonna be the perfect game, but shit, we finished it together as a team.
Defense, man, this guy was all over the freaking field, man. Play after play after play. In the pass game, the run game, Alex Anzalone.
All right, so real quick before he gets to Alex Anzalone, being all over the field and making play after play after play is great. It's also a problem. It's also a problem when your linebacker has to cover multiple positions again. This is the same issue that we saw in 2022, the same issue that we saw at times through 2023, where Alex Anzalone couldn't just play with his hair down, right? And literally with his hair down. Like, the guy is so much better when he can play on fire. And last night, he was playing cleanup duty again. He was leaking all over the field, covering for what was going on with other players missing assignments, broken containment, you name it. And well-deserved. Obviously, he had a great game. I think he was second leading tackler. I can't remember now. But either way, he was all over the field. And we don't want to see that, right? We want to see him play in his position and staying home in his position and everybody else do their job. But again, super good job by Alex Anzalone to cover and make the plays happen.
Hey, this is just one win. I look at it every year. I just look at it a quarter at a time, 4 games at a time. Just go 3-1, 4-0 each quarter. It's a long-ass season. This is just one. Keep it going.
Damn good win, gentlemen. That's the good news when you don't play your best ball and you still find a way to win, because we'll clean the rest of this up, right? And we'll be better. I don't care whether we won or lost this game. I was going to tell you the same thing. We got to get better every week. Just a little bit better next week, and we'll be good. All right, great win, man. Great win, because it's winning the NFL. Break it down.
Hey, a win's a win in this league. They're hard to come by, especially against the good teams. Let's go. Lions on 3. 1, 2, 3. Lions!
All right, so the one thing he's definitely not lying about there is against a good team. And this was a damn good team. I said it last night. Eric, I don't know if you believe in the same thing here, but I said that this could be a top defense in the league that we just went up against. Fair statement?
Yeah, and not only a top defense, we may see these guys again come January. They might have to come back here and play us again for the 3rd time in a row. And the TV broadcast kept talking about, this is a new rivalry between, the Rams and the Lions. Well, it's not much of a rivalry when we win it every single time, right? So, listen, we might see these guys again. These guys are way better than you think. These guys are a dominant football team. It may not have looked like it because it was week 1 and they were missing a few pieces. Nakua went out, and I heard all the excuses from the Rams fans. And I even had one on Facebook tell me that the Lions cheated and that's why they won the game. And the Rams should have won that game. Well, woulda, coulda, shoulda. That's what this game was. It was woulda, coulda, shoulda on both sides. The Lions should have had 3 interceptions, but we kept dropping the damn ball.
Yeah, I mean, I get the rivalry thing. There's something brewing here because of Matthew Stafford, right? I mean, that's what this rivalry has been predicated upon.
Oh, yeah, it's all about the trade.
And that's fine. That's totally fine. Like, I would much rather have a rivalry with them than, to have to talk about the damn Bears or the Packers or the Vikings all the time. I mean, you like those interconference, type of rivalries. And the Rams are that team right now. And I think that if we just saw probably what could be a top 10 defense,
for sure.
Could be better. I mean, look, they're missing some players too. Darius Williams is out of the game last night. I still don't have a clue as to how they held St. Brown. I mean, I heard that he was double teamed, or I read that he was double teamed quite often, but then that means that Laporta should have been open.
Yeah, and he wasn't.
So there's something that they did last night. And then someone just mentioned, where was Jack Campbell? Yeah, so Jack Campbell, he was not calling the plays last night. Anzalone was. And I found that interesting. And maybe it's just because it was the first game. That they didn't roll with Jack Campbell being the mic and should have been calling the plays. It is what it is. Maybe they started out with Jack and things weren't working out right. I don't know because I haven't watched the tape yet. Shout out to Johnny Gav Sports in the house. He says, good morning, guys. Tough win last night. Happy for J-Mo and Monty. Need to clean up the end of the halves and the second half offensive woes. Yeah, third quarter last night, again, we've had a whole season to clean it up.
Yeah.
And it's still not cleaned up. But this is game one.
Yeah, I'll say this too.
It's game one.
You know, a lot any Rams fans that are complaining about this game, the officiating, there were some horrible calls, okay? But there was a ton of horrible non-calls. There were so many holding penalties, especially in our D-line, that just were not getting called all night long.
Yeah.
I saw one where Davenport had a guy on his back holding him from behind and nothing was called.
Yep.
And he would have had a sack on the play.
Yeah.
And absolutely nothing was called.
There's definitely some missed calls last night. There was some blatant no calls last night.
Yeah.
I mean, we continue to see this week in and week out. Overall, it was a fairly clean game. Overall, it was a fairly clean game, but there was some things in there that I certainly didn't appreciate. And Dan Campbell, you know, he did say something about it last night. He thought that, you know, Terrion Arnold's pass interference was fine. You know, he was completely okay with it. He felt, you know, obviously there's things to clean up there. But he was completely okay with the way Terrion Arnold played last night, and he should have been because Terrion played a pretty good game. You know, I said decent last night, a decent game. There's a lot for Terrion to clean up, and the penalties is going to be one of them. He was kind of grabby, you know, in college, and last night I don't think that he was grabby. I think he just got a bad call where the refs thought they saw something, and they throw a flag.
That first one, it was
the second one.
Well, the first one was right in front of us, and he literally went like this.
Yeah, there was no penalty.
That was
there.
it.
Yeah,
he just barely touched the guy like this across his chest with his hand. He didn't hold or grab whatsoever, but his back was to the ref, and all he saw was this, and the receiver start to fall down. So they called the flag.
Right. Ryan Van Valkenburg has stepped up and is put his membership level to the loyalty crew. He wants to get in on the Tuesday night members only all 22 review. Appreciate you, Ryan Van Valkenburg. So next up, let's talk about Dan Campbell's post-game press conference. We'll break it down a little bit. So we're gonna play it. We're gonna listen to it together and then have a little bit of commentary about it. But first, Roger Chappis says, well, Eric, are you surprised the DC didn't challenge the turnover? It didn't look like an interception to me. So, you know, I asked a few people last night, you know, what they thought about some specific plays. And there was the one that was the long pass, I believe, to the tight end that looked like maybe he didn't drag, but from what I heard at home, they got better reviews that he definitely dragged. The other one was the interception where, you know, his arm was underneath the ball.
It wasn't.
Well, to us, it looked that way. But again, people at home said that they had definitive, you know, proof.
But listen,
with the reviews that it looked fine.
The review that they kept showing in Ford Field
looked different.
Blatantly showed that ball hit the turf.
Yeah, but his arm was underneath it.
No.
According to them at home, it was. And I guess that's what I'm going to roll with until I can see it. Because, you know, in the stadium, I can't imagine that Dan holds that flag and doesn't throw the laundry out on the field if they had the right angle to. The other, you got to think about this too.
He can't throw the flag.
There has to be definitive. You can challenge any play.
No, he can't because all turnovers are automatically reviewed.
Only in certain times of the game.
Yeah, but
the last
all
2 minutes
turnovers are reviewed.
The last 2 minutes of the game, yeah, they can review them, but I'm pretty sure you can still throw the flag and challenge a play.
Because they already reviewed it.
Possibly.
Because they looked at it. It went to a TV timeout, everything.
So again, I'll have to watch the tape. We'll have to look at it. But the thing is, it's very simple to me. If Dan Campbell doesn't throw a flag on something, if he doesn't challenge something, I'm hoping that this year they're going to get it right, because last year they missed out on a ton of opportunities. They weren't throwing the flag. They weren't stopping the play to have things looked at. And there was a lot of plays that could have come back. Thankfully, it didn't bite us in the end. Yeah. But you know what? We needed those timeouts anyway at the end. So if he would have lost that, we probably wouldn't have been in the position that we were at the end, because things change. As you change the game, things change. You know, as you do something in this game a little bit differently, the Rams do something a little bit differently. If you call a timeout, they do something differently. So the ebb and the flow to the game changes. So I think that if Dan didn't do it, then his team, you know, that he has didn't see it. But the thing is, definitive evidence to overturn a call on the field. If you do not have it, it doesn't matter if it looked like that ball hit the ground or not in any review. If they don't have definitive proof that it happened, they're never going to overturn it anyway. I still want to know about this 10-second BS, this 10-second runoff. Yeah. I haven't had any chance to review the rules, but I will on my way home today. I'm going to get into the NFL rule book and see where I can find that, because I have not heard of this one. It's yet another rule that impacts the Lions, potentially impacted the game for us last night, and it didn't, thankfully. So, yeah, saving the timeouts I thought was critical. And you know, we'll talk about that tomorrow morning. So we've got some new segments for our morning show. We've got the Dan Gambles of the game, the headlines, the 5 questions to Will. I mean, we've got all these different segments and topics that we're going to cover, but it's the morning after today. We're in Detroit and can't prepare a full show without a full studio. So we'll do it all tomorrow. Next up, let's get into Dan Campbell and listen to what he had to say. The TV's on.
With that team, getting them in here, and man, I thought they had a heck of a plan. They adjusted to some things that we threw at them well, and they just kept coming, man. They fought and they fought, and it was, man, it was, it was a lot of. I respect it. I do. I respect it. And that quarterback, man, Stafford, I thought played lights out, man, and played tough and hit after hit, just kept getting up and making unbelievable throws. So I just give them a lot of credit. They did. They fought now. But we're hard to break. So we did what we had to do. And, our defense held there. Before that, Fox makes a heck of a punt. And defense holds. Offense, we get it back and, get it in overtime. We win the toss and we don't look back. So we eventually found our rhythm. We did what we had to do, and I said it early in the week, the team that makes the most mistakes is the one who usually loses these early games, and we made one less mistake. And so now we just got to improve from there.
Coach, is there such thing as rust? I mean, you think at all, just from guys not playing preseason at all, guys still kind of getting themselves in, or what do you think it was early on, like this is first game?
Yeah, sure. I mean, look, there's always going to be that, and there's always going to be, I'm telling you, I just pulled up the first 2 games, the Thursday game, Baltimore, KC, and then Green Bay, Philly, and you just go through and you just try to go, fly through it and look at, things that, man, what kind of games are these? Are they what you think they are? And it's, some of these mistakes show up, and does it cost the other team how many? And, man, it's inevitable. It's every year, and it really is. It's, first game, and the ones that can just play basic football the best, man. The blocking, the tackling, targeting, communication, taking care of the football, being smart with it, the check down. They win. And so, yeah, there's things that, man, they're going to come along with it. And it's the first time a lot of these guys in a while have played that many plays with that much intensity. And so this is our first taste. We'll get better. We'll get in a better flow. On both sides of the ball, we will. But at the end of the day.
Okay, so obviously Dan Campbell's talking about game 1, right? Week 1. And the teams that can do better, with the fundamentals, the blocking, the tackling, the basic assignments. Those are the teams that are going to win. I don't know without watching the tape again. I'm going to have to I have to watch the tape as my excuse right now. When you guys know, if you're at the game, it's totally different than when you're able to actually watch it on TV, rewind, take a look at things, rewind, take a look at things. You don't really need the all 22 to get a better idea. But the fundamentals is key. Dan Campbell is keyed in on fundamentals this year, every year, but he's keyed in on making sure that we do the little things right. And last night it showed, right? They just did a few more things right than the other team, even though that they were exhausted mentally, physically, emotionally. These guys are exhausted. And then they get into, overtime, and they just did the little things right. That's all that they did. And it carried them through the rest of the game. Hitting their blocking assignments on time, hitting their combo blocks on time. It allowed Demo to get through that line and to just continue to shove that ball down their throat, march down the field, and get us into the end zone. And that was the biggest key last night, was fundamentals. That's why you practice them. That's why sometimes practice is just very blah, is because you're just keyed in on doing everything the right way every time. Mechanics are key. That is why Amon-Ra St. Brown catches 202 balls every single day, because it's the little things. It's putting your hands in the right place. It's corralling the football, right? It's tucking the football. It's making a football move. He's doing all those things. At each practice that I've ever been to, I watch the guys that stay after practice and they go and they hit the machines, right? They hit the blocking dummies or whatever it is. They're practicing form. They're getting their butt down. They're getting their pad level right. They're making sure that they're not too high, that they're jumping off the ball, at the right trajectory. Those little things will come up in big games. And if you have not keyed in on those things, you do not win this game last night, because none of them had energy. Again, I'll point it out. Go look at Penei Sewell in any of these locker room interviews. Whenever he's shown, this dude is exhausted. Jared Verse last night worked him. Jared is going to be a big problem in this league. That was why he was my number one overall pick for edge. Him and Dallas Turner, but I wanted Jared. And I would love to know, if he was not picked up by the Rams just before the Lions moved up to grab Terry and Arnold, would he have been a Detroit Lion? Because that dude he's the next guy. He's the next it guy. He's it. I promise you, Jared Verse is going to be a problem for a long time.
Hey, our defense held these guys to less points than our offense, and our offense scored more points than their offense did, and so we found a way to win.
You talked about just the expectations of Jameson Williams and how impressed you guys have been all camp. Just to come in here, have a couple big plays, 121 yards, a touchdown. Just how happy are you for him to get off to that kind of start?
Yeah, listen, expected him to play pretty good, to play better, and he showed up. I mean, that was a big game, to be able to catch some of these and go through it. And the best part of it was he didn't even play his best ball. There's still so much to clean up, but it also shows the work that he's put in, and he is improving, and he's an improved player, and he wants it, man, and he keeps working on it, and he keeps taking these steps. So as long as he keeps doing it and keeps making plays, he's just going to continue to get better. So, yeah, I'm proud of him. I'm proud of where he's at, but he's got so much room to continue to grow.
Felt like an appropriate performance for David Montgomery, given the conversation we had last week. The way he finished that game, how much of that is him, his style running gets stronger as the game goes on? How much is it that you can maybe manage or balance his workload with a guy like Gibbs also on the roster?
Yeah, I mean, look, that's going to help, and I do believe in that, having that 1-2 punch of two different backs, but I just, look, I said it after we ran the conditioning test, and whatever that was, July 26th, I guess, the day before we started our first practice, and man, you talk about a guy who was in outstanding shape. Look, all of our guys were, but this guy just looked, he looked like he didn't break a sweat for this thing. And then.
So that's point number 2 that I wanted to talk about with Dan Campbell's post-game press conference, is the shape of David Montgomery. He didn't play a lot last night. He got his snaps, right? And it'd be interesting to see just how many snaps he did get. But you could tell a difference in the way that he ran, in the way that anybody else played last night. He was definitely heads and shoulders above. Someone was talking, I don't know if Dan just mentioned it, but someone was talking about David Montgomery when he was doing those deadlifts, and that video that was passing around. I think he was lifting, 700 pounds or something like that. Something crazy. I made the comment he didn't have shoes on, and I never realized that was a thing that people like to work out without shoes on. Like I would have never done that. But anyway, you could tell a difference last night with David Montgomery's conditioning. Late game, it's overtime. Now I understand he didn't get all the snaps last night. Gibbs was in the majority of the game, but his explosiveness and how impactful that was to have that 1-2 punch last night is exactly why last night he came in and he was just like a missile going through that defensive line. The way that he lowered his shoulder on some of those runs and finished forward is exactly why you do what you do in these games and have somebody like that ready to go. But guess what? We still had Sione Vaki. We still had a guy like Sione Vaki that would have been able to do the same thing. And even though he might not be as fast as Demo, as polished as Demo, again, now we're going to have this 1-2-3 punch in some of these games that we're going to need. And it showed up big time last night in the conditioning factor. So whatever Demo did this offseason, the rest of the Lions that were gassed last night, they probably need to go work out with Demo. So what do you got to say on that?
Did you see that Vaki was actually out there in the first quarter?
Yeah.
Lined up as a running back.
Yep. Well, he caused the misdirection.
Yeah.
Yeah, he caused a misdirection on that play, and Gibbs went the other direction. I think it was a 12 or 15 yard pickup or whatever it was. But yeah, he caused the misdirection. He went right, Gibbs went left. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. And the fact that we saw two backs last night in the backfield
A couple of times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was good to see, finally. And then not only did we see him in the backfield, but they were kicking him out in the slot.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was neat to see Vaki out there. Now, he didn't get a ball, but it just shows that they have faith in him already to be out there, and faith in him, even though he's a rookie, that eventually it's going to happen. Eventually they're going to get the right look, and he's going to get the ball. They trust him to be out there with the starters.
Yep, and I think that, and that's kind of what I said, Peter, that, Vaki's nowhere close to Demo, but it's just having another guy that, you have as an option late in the game. What we've seen out of Vaki in this preseason, I think that he's going to be a pretty damn good football player in the league. I mean, he has shown some explosiveness. His moves are different. It is different from what he does than what any other running back on our team does. So, anyway, let's continue listening to Dan Campbell. Then we're going to move on to a couple of other points.
In the first few days of practice, he doesn't look fatigued. And so he's in unbelievable shape. He's worked extremely hard, and he's reliable. He's reliable. He runs heavy. He's tough. He's physical. He gets in a rhythm, and I think he's a catalyst for us. He starts carrying it, and he gets better and better. And I think the line feeds off of him, and he feeds off of them, and we get what we get. So that guy's a stud. He's a stud.
Stafford was playing without a couple of his tackles.
Yeah.
In there. He seemed to there's something there that he knows the lines. He seemed to the quick releases, the getting to the outside. Did he, for a lot of the game, kind of have the right game plan against you guys, given what he was working with?
Yeah, I thought Sean had a heck of a plan last week, and he had another one this week. Now, we threw some wrinkles at him, I think we threw a couple of things at him that it was going to take them a minute to adjust to, and they did. But to that point, they adjusted.
Dan Campbell just looks jacked. I'm sorry. Look, he looks like he's in the best shape of his life. I don't think I've ever seen him in that great a shape. He looks completely jacked right now. Dude could go suit up if he needed to. I want to see 89 back on the field. All right, sorry. I just had to say that.
Quickly, and Stafford knew exactly, what.
There you go. Like the stream, if you think that if you think that Dan Campbell looks absolutely jacked in this picture right now, because the dude does. Tell me another coach in the NFL that is this jacked as this guy. He's consuming 1,000 milligrams of caffeine before 7 a.m. and hitting the weights, getting after it, showing these young dudes what it's like to play, NFL football at 40 some odd years old, however old he is. I don't remember. But yeah, absolute beast, Dan Campbell. Come on, man. Put 89 back on and get on the field. Just once. Just once. Can we see him do it once? Just once. Just once. Aaron Glenn, take the team for the day. Dan Campbell, get out there and suit up. Just one play. Like in the Super Bowl, just one play, please.
What he needed to do, he knew where his outlets were, and yeah, he was going to get rid of that ball. They were going to go a little tempo on us and some things, and try to apply a little pressure on us. But I thought he played outstanding. I really did, man. And and they got banged up over there, and they just kept coming.
It looked the first time we really got to look at your defensive ends together. I just
Yeah.
wonder what you think you have in those two as a pair, and then beyond that, the holding penalty that Hutchinson drew on first and goal from the one to set them back.
Yeah, huge play, and the ends. I mean, it's really what we. This was the vision the whole time. This is what we knew we were going to get when we got Davenport, and we felt really good about the production Hutch is bringing and brought last year and what he was going to be able to bring this year, and then just the thought of somebody who can crunch the can over there, man, crush the can and send him his way a little bit, or vice versa. And that's what Davenport can do. He's long, he's physical, he's strong, he's a big man. And so that showed up today. It showed up. We were able to hem him up a few times in there. And
Okay, so this was big for me. I was worried for a minute because I've been on the Davenport train ever since we picked the guy up. And I'll be damned last night if Marcus Davenport was going to let me down. He played a pretty good game. And you could see instantly the physicalness that this guy plays with. There was a couple of plays there where he really punched back, with the hand fighting, getting leverage, knocking guys back off the line. Power is undeniable. Marcus Davenport is going to be a fun player to watch. I just certainly hope he can stay healthy. Last night, there was a period there where you could tell he was exhausted. And not only was he exhausted, but he went down for just a second. And then he came out of the game. He went back in a few plays later. And I thought at that point when I saw him walking out of the game, I'm like, oh no, just this is what we were worried about. This guy just can't stay on the field. But I think that it was a culmination of him being exhausted and just needed to get a breath because he went back in, he finished the game. What did you see out of Davenport last night? I know that we haven't gone through the tape yet to identify specific plays, but I thought that he played pretty well. Dan Campbell said that he played pretty well, which speaks volumes. If your head coach is telling you that, he's not going to tell you something that you can't verify on tape. I think that we all agree on that. Dan Campbell's just not going to blow smoke. Yeah. Right? He's not going to give you a bunch of cotton candy, rainbows, unicorns, and balloons. No. Dan Campbell's going to tell you like it is. And Davenport had a good game last night. I will say that I think that even though he didn't register a bunch of sacks, I think what he did on the field lended to obviously Aidan Hutchinson having, some opportunities throughout the game, but he played more disciplined football. Doesn't mean that you have to be on the stat sheet all over the place. But disciplined football where you're not letting a ton of runs coming off your edge. You're not breaking containment, right? You're doing what needs to be done in that position. That's all I wanted to see. Just play disciplined football. This was a terrible first game from perspective of doing things right all the time. They got a lot of things wrong throughout the game. But I think that, once we see all these things cleaned up, I think that we just saw the vision of what this defense could end up being. So what did you think about Davenport last night?
Well, in the first quarter of the game, Davenport had a flag for offsides. I think his adrenaline was running, just like you said earlier. I think it was adrenaline. He was so pumped up to finally be back in a game and in the NFL and playing again and starting again. He just let his adrenaline get the best of him. And he got an offsides penalty. I'm like, oh, come on. And it didn't end up hurting us too bad on that drive. I don't think they scored on that drive. But that's the little things that need to be cleaned up. And that's what I'm saying about them not playing in the preseason. He's just not seasoned yet. This is his first game action, except for playing against his own people.
In a long time, though.
Oh, yeah, in a long time.
He was injured.
He was injured for the Vikings last year. And now, next week, we put DJ Reader next to him. That is going to make a huge difference. I know Levi O had a sack, but I just don't think Levi O is the man like DJ Reader is the man.
Oh, yeah, of course. Absolutely. Ken Ross says, don't forget to hit that like button. Appreciate you, Ken Ross, and everybody else. It looks like we're about 20 away or so from getting to our 100 this morning. Help us get there. We're all on coffee and or caffeine and no sleep today, trying to bring you guys some good content. Davenport notched 4 quarterback hits last night. I know that he had half a sack and multiple pressures on Matthew Stafford. What else could you ask for out of a guy that hasn't played a game in a long time?
Yeah.
You know, coming back from some nasty injuries. And last night he showed what it's like to play the edge position the right way. And it's only going to get better. I still think it was a mistake not to have James Houston out there.
Yeah.
I really do. I think that if we had James in that game last night, Stafford does not walk out of that third quarter.
The problem.
Yeah, he does not walk out of that. You just got to unleash Houston. He's got to get some time in, and I hope that that's up against Tampa Bay. But here's the other thing. We don't want to show everything in game 1.
No.
And I think that you're going to see the evolution of this team throughout the season. It's going to be this kind of slow stock market rise, right? And then you're going to get to week 8 and week 9. It's going to go straight up. And these guys are going to unleash everything because by then the entire playbook's going to be out there. There's going to be some things that are well reserved. But I think it's going to be this kind of slow rise, that we're going to see, little things added each week until this team gets to a point of, now we have to play with a full playbook. And they have to open it up because the tape is out there. And that's going to be fun to watch. And last night, the defense, I was pretty disappointed that we were stuck, it seemed like, in zone almost the entire game. I did not expect that at all. When we ran, it was a 3-3-5. We ran a 3-2-6 at times. And that's when I think we had the most success last night against Stafford. When we were in a nickel or in the dime, a big dime, I felt that the Lions had a much better time against Stafford and holding Cooper Kupp, at least limiting him on some plays. When we were in the traditional 4-3 last night, we were getting beat up. That zone defense does not work against Stafford. It never has. He finds those little creases, right? He finds the little wrinkles. He finds, Cooper Kupp will sit down in the hole. And that's where they tore us up last night. It's exactly the game that we play, right? When we're up against the zone defense, we eat it alive. Mm-hmm. Now, again, I got to watch the tape. I'm willing to bet that the Rams were not in a traditional zone defense more than 60% of the time. That's just going to be a guess by the way that they held us up last night. It was like highway robbery, what they did to St. Brown in Sam Laporta last night. And they've got to fix it because that tape's out there now. And if someone just figured out a blueprint, it could be a long season. But to capitalize on that statement, this is why you need an X receiver.
Yeah.
Jamo's not an X receiver. As much as we would love to think that that's possible, it's not. He's not. He is not a body guy. He is not going to body these guys on the boundary. He's not going to box out. This guy is the speed, the flash, whatever you want to call him. He's not an X. And we need that big body X. We need the Robinsons, we need the Patricks. We need someone to step up in Tampa to give us that opportunity to have some more dynamic offense on the boundary. And we just didn't have it last night. Didn't have it. So it'll be interesting to see what comes of this tape. Ryan Van Valkenburg says, you nailed it, Will. That was my thought after the final drive, was that they played cat and mouse all night. They didn't want to break out that playbook week 1. Good point, Ryan.
Yeah, you want to know something?
Sure.
The Lions are still getting disrespected.
Oh, of course. We got asterisks last night?
Yeah, well, okay.
Yeah.
So if you go to ESPN right now, just ESPN.com, there's not one mention of the Lions game.
Interesting.
Isn't that stupid? My buddy just texted me that.
Interesting.
Like, we don't even make the ESPN headlines.
Well, the only thing I check ESPN for is when I check the fantasy league. And I'm still up on you, Eric. You
yes,
know,
but
the 106.86 to 102.46. I got a 4.4 lead, and all you have is a San Francisco defense tonight.
4 points. I can get that. No problem.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Where you're going to get crushed.
I don't know. You know what crushed me is Demo. So Demo gave you about 12 points last night on the final drive. So that's where you caught up last night. So Broski Bear, I want to touch on something real quick before I finish Dan Campbell. Broski, I'm going to come back to this too. Were you really that impressed with Caleb Williams in his opening game? I mean, I don't really want to trash, you know, the Bears, but we're gonna have to talk about the NFC North. I said that Sam Darnold's that guy. I warned you guys. I said that he had that arm. I said that I'm more concerned about him than J.J. McCarthy. I am more concerned about Sam Darnold than I am Caleb Williams. And we'll come back to that in a minute. We'll talk about NFC North. We're gonna finish Dan Campbell, and then we're gonna get on to some news and notes around the league.
And so it's good for him. It's going to be good for Hutch, and it's going to be good for Davenport.
The game looked a lot like the last time you guys met this team
Yeah.
last year. Same quarterback duel back and forth, same tension. Did you think it would pick up the same way like this, that you would hit the field basically running the same way you were last year?
Yeah, I mean, you don't entirely know what it's going to be like. I just knew this. I knew it was going to be a hard-fought game. I did know that. Because I think this coach does a hell of a job. You know, I do. I think Sean always puts together a good game plan. And Stafford, man, you know, it's almost like you don't want to hit him, because I think when you hit him, he plays better. And, you know, he just continued to make plays. So I think those two guys are always going to give you a damn good chance to hang in there and have success. And so, no, I guess – if there's any frustration with me, it's just, look, you don't, you know it's not going to be perfect. You just want it to be cleaner. You just want it to be cleaner than it was. That's all, even for the first game. But ultimately, it's always going to be about, we got to get better. And whether we won or lost today, we got to get better. And we won, we still have to get better. And we'll clean all this up, and then we got to play better against Tampa next week.
Before you go, the secondary played pretty good overall.
Yeah.
All right, so I think that's the big key, right? The Lions need to step up, and they need to play better against Tampa. It was a good opening win. The Lions have a lot to clean up heading into week 2, and we're going to get into more of that tomorrow morning. It's going to take the day for us to to break it down, right? Soak it all in, take a look at the tape, and have a better conversation. So last night's stats, you guys have already heard it a ton, so I'm not going to throw it out there. It was very lopsided. Stafford obviously was able to do whatever he wanted to do with the ball last night. Those things will get cleaned up. Terrion Arnold's, 2 pass interference penalties. One was probably deserved. The other one, very ticky-tacky. Dan Campbell said the same thing. He does not want Terrion Arnold to change what he's doing. He's not going to get down on the guy. Just continue what you're doing. Continue to grow. Terrion's going to be just fine. Bright spot for me last night is when Rakestraw was called in, when Carlton Davis went down last night. That was super exciting to see, where Rakestraw came in and the guy immediately stepped into press man. Immediately.
Yeah, it didn't skip a beat.
Right. And we didn't see that last night. So Terrion was playing off man a lot last night. And Rakestraw came in and immediately bumping the guy right off the line. I thought that was it was really good to see that he had no fear, right? None. He stepped in and just did his job, 2 plays, and then comes out. And I'm more excited to see what's going to happen with Rakestraw's development, because I think the Lions have 2 really good young corners. I mean, that's our future right there. Those are a 1-2. The 1-2 punch on the defense is going to be the Rake and Sub-Zero. And I call him the Rake. I don't know what you guys call him, but I call him the Rake. It's a gambling term. So
Rakestraw is so physical.
Yes.
Like, he just gets right in there and jams his receiver. And that's what I like to see. Gets the guy off of his route. The receiver has no chance to make his break on time on a timing route and be able to be in the correct position, because he's getting jammed at the line. That's something we've been missing for so long.
All right, NFC North news. We're going to go around the NFC North in 90 here. So first statement that came out of LombardiAv.com. The best quarterback in the NFC North in week 1, Sam Darnold. Who saw that coming? Who saw that coming, Eric?
Probably you, not me.
Yeah, I did. This guy. I told you that Sam Darnold was that guy. I told you that he had a rocket arm for a rocket launcher on his arm. I told you that we were going to have to be worried about him and the connection with Justin Jefferson over time. And last night, it was yesterday, it was witnessed. There was a Sam Darnold sighting, and he arrived. Hell of a game by the Vikings. Like, they put it down. Really, really good game for them yesterday. Obviously, the biggest news out of the NFC North was Jordan Love. Jordan Love suffered, he was having an up and down performance, right? I mean, it was not that great of a performance. But then he suffered a sprained MCL, obviously, during the Packers' loss to the Eagles. This is a big loss, right? I mean, the Packers just signed this guy to a mega deal, and he doesn't even get out of week 1 without suffering an injury. Now, injuries happen, right? It's not if, it's when in the NFL. But this is a big loss. Is he going to be able to bounce back in his young career and do something later on in the season? So right now they're expecting to have him back probably by week 4, week 5. There's multiple reports. They're varying in degree from 3 to 6 weeks to 4 to 8 to 6 to 9. I mean, they're everywhere. Yep. So the Packers fell behind in a game, that they just couldn't come back from. And Jalen Hurts, he's Jalen Hurts for a reason. The Eagles look good. They look like they've got some opportunity to do some things this year, but the Packers just couldn't figure out a way to win this one. And thankfully, right now we're battling what I predicted was going to be only one team winning in the NFC North this week. Ended up being 3 teams winning. Hold on one second. What ended up being 3 teams winning in the NFC North is now a division that is on its heels, right? We're going to be battling all season long. And then you have the Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams didn't even throw for 100 yards. He did not look good at all. Keep painting those nails, buddy. Just keep painting those nails. I don't care what you put on them. That is not going to help you throw the ball. Matter of fact, I would say that the nail polish probably has a little bit of wind drag. So it's probably going to hold his hand back just a little bit. I don't know. I'm just saying it's probably causing a little bit of drag. I'm going to have to get somebody on to explain, the millimeter of nail polish to wind drag degrees and how much that's going to affect the spin of the ball. And we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out by the end of the season. Not impressed with Caleb. And I've been saying it all season. Doesn't mean that he's not going to have some good games. Doesn't mean that he might even have a decent season. But coming into a loaded roster up against the Tennessee Titans that everyone has said they're going to beat the Tennessee Titans this year. I mean, every analyst has said that the Tennessee Titans are going to lose every game. Yesterday, I predicted that the Titans were going to beat Chicago Bears. They should have. They absolutely should have. And in the last 4 minutes of just about every game that I predicted, crazy upsets or, what should have been the win, weird stuff happened because it's week 1 and these guys are exhausted. But hey, I stuck by it. I'm going to have a bad week 1. That's okay. The rest of the weeks won't be so bad now that we got some tape on these guys. So give me your NFC North in 90. What did you think was good, bad, indifferent? What are you looking forward to now in the NFC North?
Well, I had a Packer fan tell me this morning that the reason that the Packers lost was because they had the toughest matchup in week 1 of any NFC North team. Okay? Who in their absolute right mind in the world would think that the Philadelphia Eagles are better than the Los Angeles Rams right now? Not even close. The Rams would absolutely smoke the Philadelphia Eagles right now. I'm going to say this right now. You are going to see a rematch in the playoffs of the Los Angeles Rams and the Detroit Lions. Might be us traveling to them, might be them traveling back to us. But it's going to be the third time in less than 24 or in less than 12 months, we are going to hit it 3 times in a row. We're going to have to play them again.
Yeah, no, and they're definitely traveling to us. That's just the way it's got to work. So, take a quick recap. We'll start with Chicago. Caleb Williams was 14 of 29 for 93 yards. DeAndre Swift, 10 for 30, so a 3-yard average. What really won this game for them? I mean, DJ Moore, 36 yards. Keenan Allen, 29 yards. And I can't say much because St. Brown and Sam Laporta didn't do much last night.
Nope.
Obviously, the Waymo JMO, night, it was incredible the way that, he came alive last night. But
we had 2 players. We had David Montgomery that had, 93 yards?
Something like that, yeah.
And a touchdown and then on rushing. And then receiving, we had 120 yards for JMO and a touchdown. So just those 2 players alone are better than anyone that played for the Bears yesterday.
Well, the biggest reason why the Bears even won last night, Tyreek Stevenson had a 43-yard pick six. Their defense is what won this game for them in the end. It wasn't the offense.
Special teams.
Yeah.
They had a block kick that they took back, or a block punt, and they took it back for a touchdown.
Yeah, block punts are so rare too.
Yeah.
Like super rare. But Caleb Williams' first night, 55.7 passer rating. 55 point. I could do that, Caleb. I needed a hip replacement here already at 44 years old. So I could probably do that. I'm just kidding. I probably couldn't. I'd probably get crushed. But it was nice. It was fun to say. Jalen Johnson obviously sealed the win for the Bears with just over a minute remaining when he intercepted a deep pass intended for Tyler Boyd on 4th down at the Tennessee 40. So, look, Will Levis is still he's still a bit young. He's still got a lot to learn. Had he not thrown a couple of interceptions yesterday, I'm trying to get to the stats here. I keep getting screwed up here. My phone's keeps twitching out.
Yeah, I will say this about the Bears. They have some sure-handed defensive
Juggernauts
people in the backfield, and they catch the ball when they have a chance to get an interception, something the Lions did not do last night. We had 3. Terrion had 1. Brian Branch had 2 that they could have easily caught, and for some reason the ball just bounced right off their hands.
Yeah, and then Carlton Davis missed one right in the breadbasket. He fell on that ball. I think that's why he came out of the game because he must have had the wind knocked out of him.
There was 3 or 4 that we just, if we catch the ball, that changes the game big time.
Yeah, I mean, there was at least 4 interceptions that the Lions missed. We got a lot to clean up. Kirby last night, I saw him at times, I want to go back to the Bears, but Kirby at times, you could see where he was getting so low, right? Yeah. He was trying to hide from Stafford. He was parking himself and burying himself so Stafford couldn't see him, and then he would come up to try to make a play. He missed one towards the end of the game there, the 4th quarter, where he had an opportunity. He was about 5 to 7 yards away.
Yeah.
But man, he saw it coming. He read the play. He was in the right area. He just didn't get north quick enough.
Yeah.
But he would have had another interception last night.
That interception in the end zone was a thing of beauty, though.
Yeah.
Stafford didn't see him at all.
No, he must not have. But, Stafford likes to take chances, too.
Yes.
But Will Levis, tossing 2 interceptions yesterday clearly didn't help the Titans' case to close out that game. But that game was not close, in my opinion, with the Bears. Even though the score says it was close, it was not that close. That was a game. That was a game where the Titans were pretty much winning, but the defense is what helped the Bears, obviously get over top.
So Broski here says that the Eagles are much better than the Rams. Not even close, Broski Bear. The Eagles look like crap.
So say that again.
So he said that the Eagles are better than the Rams.
Yeah, I don't.
I was saying.
No.
No way.
Not in the first game. Not last night. I think the Rams looked dialed in. I think that their defense obviously was much better than what the Eagles are playing, or the way that the Eagles are playing. But both of those teams are really good teams. I'm not going to discredit what the Eagles are. They're a really good team, but I don't think that they had as good of a game as what the Rams had. But either way, you didn't capitalize. You know, you got the number 1 pick in the draft. You didn't capitalize. I think you forget about what the Eagles are. Forget about what the Rams are. You got a number 1 pick in the draft that didn't even throw for 100 yards. And he's got weapons all over the field. That's an indictment on your quarterback, yes, but their offensive line, the Bears couldn't even allow Swift to get more than 30 yards in a game. So that's the problems that the Bears are up against. Again, if you're going to buy all of these players and lump them together in a roster, you better make damn sure that these guys fit together. It's week 1, though. The Bears could totally surprise us and go on a 15-game winning streak.
Yes.
So it's just week 1, but what I saw yesterday did not look good.
No.
At all from Caleb Williams. I mean, a 55.7 passer rating is god awful. I don't care where you're selected or how old you are in the NFL. That's just terrible. Look at Sam Darnold. You know, this guy's been a perennial backup. You know, he started as a starter in the league and then he became a backup. And he showed last night why he's going to be a good quarterback to finish out his career. The Vikings, in my opinion, right now are the number 2 team in the NFC North. Until they're not, they are.
Yep.
Looking at the Vikings and the Giants yesterday, I mean, this game wasn't even close at all. 28-6. And this was a game where I expected the Giants defense to show up, and they didn't show up at all. They didn't even get off the bus. I think some of them stayed at the hotel, you know, wherever they were staying before the game, even though it was a home game for them. You don't let a team like the Vikings come in and beat you this badly. But here's the difference between the Vikings and the Lions. The Vikings scored 14 points in the third quarter.
Yep.
They made the second half adjustments, even though they were already winning. They made the second half adjustments to come out and not stay flat in a third quarter. They came out to win the game in the third quarter. It's something that the Detroit Lions have not been able to do now in over a season. And the Lions have got to get this fixed. So
we scored 7 in the third quarter.
Is there anything that you have prepared for?
Yeah, so the Vikings, listen, if you go back and watch our preseason prediction show, I took a bunch of flack online because I picked the Vikings to be second place in the division. And then I picked the Bears to be in third and the Packers to be in fourth. Everybody said I was nuts. Everybody said I was crazy because I only predicted the Packers to get 6 wins. Well, I predicted the Vikings to get 9 wins and second place in the division. And everybody told me I was nuts. Everybody. The Vikings are going to be better than you thought. And to all my Vikings friends in Minnesota, I got your back. Don't worry. I might know what I'm talking about every once in a while. I get it right. I'm like a clock, you know. I'm right once a day or once a month.
Yeah, even a broken clock is right twice a day. Yeah, I mean, right now you're predicating your opinion on Jordan Love injury, so be careful.
Not even with him. I
Be
don't care
careful.
with or without him. I don't think they win that game, even if Jordan Love doesn't get hurt on that play. Right? They only had 6 seconds left in that game. And Jordan Love didn't look that great. CJ had a blown coverage before that play for 70 yards to Reed. Jordan Love was 5 of 13 for 45 yards. He was putting up Caleb Williams type numbers. So I had no confidence in Jordan Love being great. He came out looking like crap. And he got super lucky that CJ completely blew the coverage and let his guy go.
I never had confidence in CJ.
No.
Not once.
God,
I mean, I was excited to see, you know, when the Lions picked him up, but it showed us pretty quickly, whether he was injured or not, that I just felt like he was more of a distraction.
He's all talk.
Yeah, he was more of a distraction for the Lions, but no, he didn't have the greatest of games this weekend either. Biggest news probably out of that game was Dexter Lawrence. He's really pissed off at the Giants fans. When you play in a big time town like New York, you've got to play. You know, you've got to have a good team. You've got to have good coaching. New York fans booing their team last night was a thing of beauty, and you know what? They deserved it. The New York Giants they didn't come to play. And so Dexter, man, you're just going to have to own it that you guys didn't have a good game. and expect it. I mean, we used to do the same thing in Detroit. Matter of fact, it started to get a little chippy last night in Detroit. There were some fans that were pretty upset, me being one of them there for a minute, that and a lot of that was directed towards Aidan. And I'll give you my Cliff Notes version on Aidan. So, I mean, Aidan's going to have to deal with these things too. He was out of position a lot last night. When Dan Campbell talks about things to clean up, Aidan's going to have some tape to watch. And the fact that Marcus Davenport played a more well-controlled style of defense and dictated what was happening on his edge and his containment zone, I thought spoke volumes to the type of player that Davenport is, because that guy is all ball all the time, wants to run through your face like you've heard from Lee McNeil. That's what Davenport is. Aidan's the same way. And his motor is so hot. Like, he's running so hard all the time that I feel like it gets him into trouble. And maybe it's first week jitters. Maybe it's the hometown. We just came off an NFC North championship. We want to, keep the steam rolling forward. And Aidan was just trying to, I think he was trying to collect sacks last night instead of collecting a W. He's a hell of a player. He is going to be one of the best players in the NFL real soon. He's still not elite yet. He's got a ways to go. And I'm not talking stats, right? I'm talking the player. Playing smart, right? Playing within the scheme. Not losing control. Not getting you can't get deep on Stafford. You can't get behind Stafford. He will hurt you every single time. And you saw it. Stafford would escape. Aidan Hutchinson had a 24% missed tackle rate last season. And it showed last night again as to why he just needs his arms to be a little bit longer to be able to keep those guys corralled and get them down on the ground. That spin move last night got Aidan into trouble. There was a time or two where Aidan would spin, and all he had to do was put his arms up. That's it. And he bats the ball down. But he didn't. He would spin. He would get out of control. Stafford would fire the ball right over top of him. Every single time he would spin. And I shouldn't say every time. I need to watch the tape to see exactly how many times. But that's what I kept noticing last night out of Aidan is he would spin himself out of control. He would get too far off of his containment zone where, whether it was Kyron or somebody else was able to, load up and take Aidan to the woodshed.
That was what I noticed.
Those are the things that got to be fixed. Aidan's got to realize at times that, you just got to stay home. And I don't necessarily think that we were calling blitz as often as it is maybe is what it looked like. I mean, your edge guys obviously have a job to do. That's number one, get after the quarterback. Number two, you got to bottle up the running back. And I felt like Aidan was kind of having trouble in both areas last night. Of course, we're going to hear that Aidan was held. Look, the Aidan has got to stop the LeBron. You've got to stop calling for penalties. Every single play, he's asking for a penalty. The refs don't respect that. The refs want you to play the game. And the minute you stop asking for penalties, that's when the flag is going to fly. Just go in there and play the game. Don't cry about it. Be about it. Just go in there and put your nose down and get after it. Quit calling for penalties. Quit dancing. Look, if you're up by 20 points, if you're up by 14 points, dance. Dance all you want. But you better not let somebody come off your edge and beat you. And beat you over and over and over again. And then you do a dance because you got a cheap sack. The sack was needed. Great play. But the dance wasn't needed, man. You're not winning the game. So those are the things that kind of bother me. And it's not just Aidan. It's any player in the NFL that does that. Act like you've been there before. And the reason why I say that is because Barry Sanders was the absolute best at being humble. He was the best running back in the NFL during his time. Still is, in my opinion. I know that's a hot debated subject. Did he ever dance? Did he ever celebrate? No. He would hand the ball off to the ref. He would turn around and jog back to the sideline. He wouldn't walk. He would hand the ball off, turn around, and go back to the sideline. And that is exactly That is exactly what Aidan needs to do. He needs to adopt some humbleness and just go do his job and turn around and go back to the sideline. Turn around and go back to the huddle. Get those guys jazzed up. You know, I know that sometimes it gets the crowd into it, but you better be winning the game. So I'll get off my soapbox. I'll dive into the tape. We'll talk about it. I'm not crazy. I promise you. I'll show you. If you're on level 2, anyway, I'll show you. And if I let everybody in for, a time or two this season to kind of show you what I'm looking at, we'll come back and look at some of these plays together. But what did you think about Aidan? I mean, last night overall, I would give him probably a C+ would be my grade.
Yeah, I'm about the same. The thing that worried me was early in the season last year and the year before, people would break contain on him and he just was not setting the edge and people running right around him. Man, a reverse got him every time. And, a delayed handoff to the running back got him every time. And it showed its ugly head last night. And I didn't like seeing that because last year at the end of the year, he was awesome at setting the edge.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And he wasn't just trying to get a sack on every friggin' play. I think he just wanted to get that first sack or two to get that feeling, get that adrenaline rush. And
get the cobwebs out.
Do a stinky leg and all that stuff, have his dance. He wanted that. He needed that for his, for his personal ego, right? And he got it out of the way. So now maybe he can settle down a little bit. Hopefully the coaching staff goes over it with him this week and says, what the hell? Why are you not setting the edge? Why did you crash down on this play? Why did you crash down on this play? Why did you crash down on this play? Get it in his head. Set the edge. Hold your guy. Just stay in front of him. Stay to his left. Stay to his right. Whatever you need to do. And did you notice they were moving Hutch all around the line yesterday?
Yeah, so I did. And I was glad to see that, Aidan was getting different looks. I don't know that I've seen him line up over Jonah, though. And that one I would have loved to have seen because I think that with Aidan's speed, I think that he could have been able to split that gap between Jonah and the right guard or even Jonah and the left guard. I think that he would have been able to split that gap and get to Matthew Stafford. So, Alfred, it's not about talking bad about. We're not talking bad about anybody. No. I mean, this is a realistic analytical perspective. That's all it is. And it's all backed by tape. Yeah. I'm not going to sit here and drink Kool-Aid. I'm not that guy. I never have been. I'm that's his job. I'm the realistic guy that's going to try to give you the analytical points and try to back it up with tape. And that's why I like to watch the tape before, I watch tape before this show. But going to bed at 3:00 in the morning and waking up at 6:00 or what time, and then going to McDonald's to get coffee to try to get ready to do the show. Look, I got nothing to go off of right now other than what I saw on the field, and I can't watch every single play. I can just watch the plays, or I can go off of the plays that I know I watched. I mean, I literally sit in the stands, when I'm at these games. I mean, these are my notes right here. I mean, you can see, I don't know, maybe you can't see. I mean, these are my notes during the game. So I'm not just talking crap. I make notes about every little thing that I see so that we can have a conversation about it. But I still got to watch the tape, marry the notes up to the tape, and then come back and have a conversation about it. My eyes may be different. I may not know every single point or all the verbiage. We'll leave that to Coach DC over there at All 22. And I'm going to reach out to him again today, too, to see if he can do a 30-minute spot each week. Nice little wrap up of what he's seen. He's already got videos out, man. Yeah, that guy's already pumping videos out, and I can't wait to watch him today. I heard a little bit of it for a few minutes this morning, but he's already got stuff pumping. Shout out to Roger Orlowski. Just upgraded his membership to level 2 because you know why? He wants to see if Will knows his crap when we're talking All 22 tomorrow night at 7 p.m. It's a members only review. And it's already planned. It's already set up. So you guys should get the notification. Roger, with you upgrading today, You may not have gotten the notification, but just check the live section, and you should see the members only channel already set up for tomorrow night at 7 p.m. It's going to be fun. I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be great to see what we see, right, and to put it together, right, to watch it together. Yeah. Peter Van Larhoven says Hutch never keeps outside contained. I mean, never say never, right? I think he does at times. You know, I gave Hutch his flowers last year on multiple occasions where he actually stayed home. Like, I mean, he would start to go forward, and then he would backpedal up and then move to his left and stay home.
Yep.
And what happened? Houston or somebody else, wasn't Houston last year because Houston was hurt. Somebody else would be able to crash down from the other side and make a play. But every time you get out of your containment zone, you know, and I'm not a defensive guru, you know what I mean? I'm not an Aaron Glenn, you know, I'm not a Calvin Shepard. But every time you lose your containment, you know, or you crash down and you allow Stafford or any quarterback that's good, just a little bit of a vision, just a little bit of a seam, that's all they need. That's how perfect these players have to play. And I think that's something that isn't said enough. Like what Aidan does, I mean, this dude is rare, like super rare talent. What Marcus Davenport does, a little bit different. He's a super rare talent. All of these professional athletes are playing as perfect as they can. And literally it takes playing perfect to win football games in the NFL. So I don't want to take that away from them. I think that, you know, this is week 1. There's a lot of mistakes. Week 2, we're going to see a lot of mistakes. Week 4, I don't want to see as many of these little mistakes that, you know, you've been in the league now for 3 seasons, you shouldn't see it. You've been in the league for 5 or 6, you shouldn't see it. And those things have to get cleaned up. But I think a lot of it was the defensive calls. I was not as thrilled last night with Aaron Glenn's calls, but I want to go back again and see just where it was. So you guys, 1 to 10, you tell me for an opening week 1 game, you give me a score, 1 being, terrible, 10 being the best ever. How did your Lions perform? Or you can give them a grade, you know, A being the best, you know, D being the worst or whatever. Where did your Lions grade last night overall? Number 1. Number 2, how about that overtime performance? Give me a grade on that overtime performance, because for me, I'm going to give the Lions overall, I'm going to give them C+ for the whole night. Both sides of the ball, they're getting a C+. Jamo gets an A, flat out gets an A. Demo in that overtime, A+. In that offensive line, A+. Like, that's our team. What we saw in overtime, in that one possession, that's our offense. I'm glad they showed up for the very last possession of the game. That's who we are. That's who I expected to see. And we saw it at the end last night. When you know you have a good team, when you know that you have a team that can show up and do what needs to get done, you see it happen from time to time, and we saw it last night when it mattered most. That is when you know you have something good that just, you know, they're struggling a little bit. It's week 1. So, Eric, what are your grades?
So I would have to say my grade would be a 7 overall or a B-. Okay? Because we did get the win. So a B+ or B- is a win in my book, right? And before the game, I picked 2 players on offense that I said to watch for this game. Jamo and Jake Bates. And what did Jamo and Jake Bates do? A+, A+. Jake Bates didn't miss a kick, didn't miss an extra point, and Will's dad took all the drinks out of the fridge. So Will don't have a drink. Shout out to Will's dad. But Jake Bates did not miss a field goal, and they weren't long field goals. Listen, both field goals that he had to kick last night were pretty darn close. and he didn't miss any extra points. So everybody, like, I had my friends from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, they were sitting right behind us, one row behind us, like directly behind me, Steve Paulson and his son. And they're super fans, right? He's the guy with the big 906 jersey. And his son was chirping in my ear about how I better be right about Bates because he can't hit the intermediate and the short stuff. So he was like, Eric, that damn kicker better hit it, and he better not miss these short kicks. Well, guess what? He didn't miss any short kicks. He didn't cost us the game, because if he would have missed one of those kicks, guess what would have happened? We would have lost this game, correct? So I'm really happy to see Bates, boom, boom, Bates, the Bates Motel. You know, I'm glad to see that he's fitting in and he did his job and nobody's talking about him. And I like that, because if a kicker's not, if they're doing their job, most of the time they're not talked about the day after. So shout out to Jake Bates and shout out to JMO. See, I got my JMO, my brand new blue JMO that I bought yesterday. I got this on today.
Yeah, so I got coffee though. Dad stole all the drinks.
Yeah,
so look, there's another guy that we want to talk about. His name is Dylan. I got a chance to meet Dylan, fourth offer this weekend. This guy is an absolute talent when it comes to art, and he gave me a few pieces, but I want to share them with you guys because we're going to be starting up an opportunity for Dylan where you guys are going to be able to get they're custom, right? I mean, these are one of a kind art pieces. Some of them are going to be used for the Rock On Cancer Foundation, but they're also going to be available to you. Now it's going to take a little bit of time to launch this, but I mean, here's just one piece of Aidan.
Yeah, look at that.
Look at the detail. I said he looks like the Russian from Rocky. That's what he kind of looks like.
Yeah.
Right. And then the Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah. I own the original of that one.
Yeah, St. Blue is what I call that one, St. Blue. This one I have a bigger piece of this, but Jared Goff. I mean, just look at that detail.
Yeah.
It's all done with pencil.
Jared Goff.
Now he's actually done some pieces for Terry and Arnold. He's done some pieces for
Brian
Branch
and JMO.
Yep.
Yeah,
and
the first one he did was for JMO. JMO's mom contacted him and wanted him to do a piece of the San Francisco 49er championship game where JMO did the end around and scored the touchdown, the jet sweep that everybody ran this weekend.
Yeah.
And that is like my absolute favorite, and I own that one too.
So
one of them, a copy of it.
Be on the lookout. We're going to be launching all sorts of little products for Dylan. We're going to help him get his thing going. He's such a super rare talent. And, when you talk about professional athletes being rare talents, right, and having to do things perfect, this art is beautiful. And to have these one-of-a-kind things that will end up having some autographs done, certificate of authenticity with it as well. No one else in the world has these. And you're not going to be able to get them until we can get them released. But they're going to be very limited production, and it's going to be an awesome thing for Lions fans to be able to have an opportunity to get some of these. There will be an opportunity at some point to do some custom commissions on maybe some things, some scenes that you want to see. But this stuff takes 40 some odd hours for some of these pictures to do. Yeah. That's a lot of time. They're not going to be cheap. I can tell you that right now. Art is never cheap, but it's going to be worth it. So be on the lookout. It's going to take a little bit of time to get all this stuff launched, but we'll do some pre-sales where you can put your deposits down, and it might take a few months to get these out. Just like when I ordered bobbleheads. I ordered bobbleheads in April. I still don't have them, and I'm not going to have them until probably the end of October. Wow. So kind of like what FOCO does, they'll do a pre-sale. You can get in. We'll give you an idea of what we're working on. We'll show you maybe a picture of what Dylan's going to be working on, and then you can get in on the pre-sale. That'll tell us how many need to get made, and they'll be numbered. So if you get in first, you get the lower number. They're always worth more. The biggest thing is getting them autographed, and so that's why it's going to take a little bit of time because now we're in the season. So to get these things autographed is going to take a little bit of finessing, but It's going to be great for Rocktown Cancer Foundation. It's going to be great for Dylan, and it's great for the Detroit Lions fans, man. So it's a win. Grades. So far, what we see on grades, I think a lot of people are kind of in the same boat. We got 7s, 6.5, B minus, B minus, C plus, 7+. So we're kind of all in the same boat here. I mean, look, this was an average grade at best. We're going to dive into the tape. We'll take a look at it. We'll get into more of it tomorrow. Anything else you want to add for today?
Yeah. So all game long, our offense looked just like it wasn't running like last year. And I didn't know why we didn't play bully ball until overtime. And then overtime, we went run, pass, run, touchdown, right? Something like that. And we controlled the line of scrimmage. We controlled the clock, and we ran it down their damn throats, right up the middle, right up the gut, and we took over that game. We said, okay, we have the best offensive line. Let's show it. And we didn't do that all game until the end of the game. They kept trying to get Gibbs in for the home run instead of using Monty to break down that defense. And they did it at the very end of the game. What do you think about them not playing their normal bully ball until the end of the game? Why didn't we do that in the first quarter?
Look, I think that Rams defense was just too good. I'm not, and again, I've got to look at it. There's a reason why we went away from Monty and started running outside zone. I mean, there's a fact that we ran outside zone for the majority of this game, where Monty has been more inside zone between the tackles. Gibbs is more the outside zone, running the outside, right? Outside plays.
Yeah.
And Gibbs can run through the tackles too. I'm not going to say that he can't. But that's Monty. I mean, that's the 1-2 punch. You got the inside and then you got the outside guy. So something was going on where, look, I don't think Graham had his greatest game. I don't think Zeitler had his greatest game. I think that there was some issues in the middle of this offense, and it'll get cleaned up. I mean, clearly, you guys saw what happened in overtime. They got pissed. The offensive line probably all looked at each other and said, "What are we doing? Like, we are getting handled. It's time for us to go handle them," and that's what they did. So I don't have an answer. I got to see. I got to see what happened.
Did you happen to see who got that horrible sack on Goff? Who gave it up?
Who gave it up?
Yeah.
No,
I don't remember, because Goff got sacked there the one time when we really needed a play, and horrible sack.
Well, we'll find out. We'll definitely find out tomorrow night in the tape review. But I'll be watching it today. That's going to be my homework today, is to kind of get some things ready. And maybe if I get some sleep, we'll get some more videos out. But it's going to be a long 3-hour drive home, and you got a long 6-hour drive home. So anyway, look, it's 1-0 to start the season. Your Detroit Lions finally figured out another way to win. Shout out to Dan Campbell for having this team somewhat ready, right? I mean, and I don't mean that in a negative way. There's still a lot to work on. It's the beginning of the season. Dan Campbell always has these teams ready. And I think that you've seen just how different of a coach Dan is. Most teams of our past do not come out in overtime and win. So I have a question for you, and I was going to save this for a video topic. Maybe I should save it. Nah, because you know what? I don't think people are going to get it. I think that if I do the thumbnail, they're not going to understand it. The true Lions fans would understand this. Mm-hmm. What would Marty have done in overtime?
Oh my God. We'll take the wind.
We'll take the wind. What would old Marty have done in overtime? Nah, you guys take the ball first. We want the wind.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you the crowd. Okay, so there's been a lot of hoopla about how loud the crowd was going to be last night and everything. We were not even close to playoff Lions crowd. It wasn't even close. And when the Lions won that overtime coin toss, that was the only time that we were playoff loud. That was the only time.
Yeah,
during the whole game.
Yeah, I think we were averaging about 114 last night. And again, like I guess I have the blessing of my right ear pretty much being half deaf right now because I can't, like, it doesn't phase me. You know, I got to like hold my nose and kind of blow out and pop the eardrums, like, you know, when you're in a plane, and then I could finally hear it a little bit. Yeah, it didn't even come close to playoffs.
Yeah, because I was basically in the same area that I was in for the when we broke the record for the Tampa Bay game. And listen, it was half as loud because I literally had to stick my fingers in my ears, and I didn't even come close to that last night. Not even close.
But you know what? We were rolling, and I want to say it was somebody in the Voxer chat. Or no, I'm sorry. It was Megan. So Megan, my Megan, texted me yesterday that at halftime, Sean McVay was giving us credit, the fans credit. You know, again, right at halftime, Sean McVay was saying that, you know, obviously we're doing our part. And
what did we cause? 4 false starts last night?
I think so. I don't remember.
I think it was 4 they had up on the board.
But either way, you know, we tried. I don't know why we weren't as loud. I mean, not only was the place sold out, but they sold standing room tickets again.
Yeah.
I don't understand what's changed, but I will say this. If you notice the ceiling, did you notice the ceiling?
Yeah, it looked different.
Well, they put in the baffles, so that'll tone us down.
Yeah.
Why would the Lions have put those in?
Yeah.
Because now it's going to make us quieter.
Well, I
know it helps with acoustics. Yeah, but I know it helps with acoustics. And it did sound better in there from an acoustic standpoint. And I don't remember all of them being in there, that many of them last year.
Yeah. I'll say this, though. When the ref got on and the ref talked and said, hey, okay, you know,
blah, 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 blah. It doesn't
on
matter.
The defense, whatever. You could actually understand what they were saying.
Yeah.
This is the first time ever that I could actually understand the refs.
Well, I think that's an issue of not having enough speakers in the right area. Yeah. They need to have speakers facing the fans going around the stadium, and we have like speakers there and you know, they're just not. I feel like they're not in the right area.
In
but
the end zone, we did.
I think that those baffles they restricted us because that's what they're meant to do. It traps your it traps the noise and it reduces it. I mean, that's what you hear. Like in here, we got nothing but echo. If you had those things, on the wall or whatever that help with the acoustics, obviously it dials things in for podcasts or, in studios. So it quieted us down, I think. And I'm curious as to why there's way more of those up now. Because we're never going to come close to breaking the decibel record. Maybe the NFL said you guys are too effing loud. You've got to tone it back.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's a competition thing for us. Like,
nothing's ever going to be as loud as the Silverdome.
Right.
Dude. Like when I remember going to the Silverdome and it wasn't even like a playoff game or anything. And it was so deafening loud, but they had 30,000 more people in the room.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it was 80,000 minimum at the Silverdome.
Yeah.
Before I forget, so I've got to end the raffle. I didn't because I was at the game last night. But the Penei Sewell helmet on buymeacoffee.com. So it's buymeacoffee.com/rocked-on, ROCKEDON. The Penei Sewell raffle was supposed to end at midnight last night. It's going to be open until I get off this podcast and actually close it. So that raffle will end, and then we'll withdraw that tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. And then the Eric Hipple signed backrest from the Pontiac Silverdome with certificate of authenticity is still up. That one will end this Sunday at midnight. And then we'll probably throw up our bonus one today or the actual one for the week. I'll have to decide on which one we're going to do. Maybe it's Chris Spielman mini helmet. Maybe it's the Neon Miller Lite sign. Who knows? We'll figure it out. And it'll be up sometime today. But if you guys want your last chance at getting a Penei Sewell raffle ticket, mini helmet raffle ticket, now's the time to go to buymeacoffee.com/rocked-on. Last thing I wanted to point out. There's one rule or non-rule in the NFL that kind of bothers me. And that is this. Matthew Stafford knew potentially knew that one of those plays was not in bounds or one of those plays was not a catch, right? They hurry up to the line, they hurry up and snap the ball. Every team's done it. Every team's guilty of it. But when you talk about competition and you talk about competitive fairness, this one bothers me. Last year, the Lions in the Dallas Cowboys game, the Lions were said that they were too deceptive. That we were kind of being crooks of the game. Well, isn't it really deceptive and unfair that if you know that they didn't catch the ball, the receiver comes back and says, yeah, I dropped it. That wasn't a catch. Hurry up, get to the line. Why does the NFL allow that to happen? Isn't that the most unfair competitive advantage in the game? That it wasn't a catch, the refs missed it, and because the refs missed it, you get to capitalize on it? Otherwise, the opposing head coach has got to throw a flag quickly, right? Or, you're trying to force the other head coach to throw a flag, by acting like it wasn't a catch. I mean, there's some deceptiveness on that side of it too, where it was a catch, but they're going to act like they didn't catch it.
Yeah.
And try to get the other coach to throw the challenge flag. I mean, there's gamesmanship there too. But I feel like your team should not be allowed to just all of a sudden in the middle of the third quarter or the middle of the first quarter, whenever, all of a sudden you're running up to the line to go hurry up and snap a ball. I feel like that is an unfair advantage, and that play needs not to be allowed in the NFL. I'm sorry. Whether it hurts you or helps you, as a Lions fan, as a Lions team, I don't think that play should be allowed. I think that if there's any question whatsoever, that it needs to be reviewed and it needs to be settled, slow the game down and get it right. Because too often those plays help the other team win and they shouldn't. I can't stand it. I just absolutely can't stand that play. So I'll be pounding my chest all season. I don't care what game it happens in. I do not want that play to exist next season. It's got to go away.
You know who gets that play right?
Who's that?
The UFL.
Yeah, because they have transparency.
Yes. They stop the game.
Yep.
And they get it right. And they only stop it for 10 seconds because they look at it real quick. Okay, that's a catch. Okay, that's not a catch. And off they go. It's not going to make the game 3.5, 4 hours, whatever they say. It's so stupid that they think it's going to make the game longer. No, it's not. It's just going to make the game better.
Yeah, better. I mean, look, it's better in... Yeah, I mean, Rick, there's deception in every play, but this is not really deception. This is an unfair competitive advantage.
Yes.
I mean, let's just be honest here. You throw an 80-yard bomb and you bobble it. It's not a catch, but it's caught in a way that it's really difficult to see whether you caught it or not, and the ref calls it a catch, but you didn't catch it. You knew that ball hit the ground or whatever. So now that team just got 80 yards down the field, and the next play they score a touchdown. That's not deception. That's an unfair competitive advantage. And I can't stand, whether it's college or the NFL, that play needs to disappear. I do not like it all. Just like I do not like green eggs and ham. That play needs to go away. All right, so that's it for today. It's been great having everybody in the show this morning, and again, I can't say enough about the collection of fans that we have. The Uperman tailgate was great yesterday, being able to help out Megan Stefanski in her drive to Eastern
Market.
Eastern
Upper Peninsula
Hospice. Got to meet the hospice director last night. And thank you again, obviously, for the shout out. But great people to work with, great people to be around. Everyone is on the same page with trying to do more for their community. And that's what I'm trying to do with Rock Down Cancer Foundation, is help out more people in the community that need and deserve our help. And you guys have been such an amazing community of Lions fans and supporters. And I just wanted to say thank you again, because it's been amazing to watch the transformation. I know not every channel does stuff like this. I wish they would. And if they need something to help out with, look, we have plenty of foundations to help out with. It doesn't just have to be mine. There are so many different things going on with these Lions super fans and all of the different foundations, the J Babe, you name it. Kids, if you want to get involved with helping out kids for next school season, I've got another foundation that we're going to be putting together here soon for backpacks and skateboards and bikes and school supplies. We're going to be doing a school supply drive. Everything is like super cheap right now at Meijer or wherever for school supplies. So if you guys ever want to, buy school supplies and kind of put them aside when they're super cheap, we'll have a place for you to drop them off here in the coming weeks, so we can do a school supply drive for next season. All of that stuff is given away during the Hall of Fame week down in Canton, Ohio. So, all right, you guys have been great. Final words, Eric, for week 1.
Man, what a hell of a week. Go Lions. We're 1-0. Let's go.
1-0. Man, did we inch this one out.
Yep.
All right, you guys have a wonderful day. We'll see you here soon. Definitely tomorrow morning, and then tomorrow night with the All 22 review. One Pride is alive. We are marching to 17 wins this season and marching to the playoffs yet again. We needed this win to go up 1 on the NFC, to go up 1 in the division. Right now we are tied with the Bears and the Vikings, but we won't be next week. We're going to be going up 2-0. We'll see y'all tomorrow morning on the Rise and Grind Morning Show. You guys take care. Go and Pride. Go Detroit Lions. Bye-bye.